our special guest? Perfect. All right, you guys, our special guest is already joining our call tonight. So I want to go ahead and respect her time and yours. I'll introduce myself. My name is Jenna Hotela. I'm a Diamond Ambassador with Plexus Worldwide. This is our anchored mastermind. It's Tuesday night. We join together to come to learn and to grow personally, because when you grow personally, you grow professionally. And we are really excited that tonight we get to share with you one of the things that doesn't always get talked about in network marketing and specifically in Plexus is the tax benefits. There are so many things that are at play for you in your business that you might not even realize or know about. And so we got the opportunity. Funny story how I met Courtney, and I don't know if she even knows this. Um, I read her book, I saw her stuff on YouTube. It started popping up. And then I had a girlfriend who went to North Carolina to visit her daughter who lived down the street from Courtney. She met the neighbor, met the daughter, met Courtney. She came home and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I think you need this woman's help." And she was right. I absolutely did. She has done amazing things for our business. She works hand in hand with my husband. He's the guru of all the numbers. But I will tell you, Courtney has been so empowering for me personally because I remember one conversation we had, and I said, "It's just not my thing. Like, I'm not a numbers girl." And she's like, "Don't tell yourself the lie that you're not a numbers girl. You can learn the things." And so at 49, I'm over here, I'm learning new things. I don't have it all figured out, but I do know who to go to ask for help. And she is somebody that personally we have had amazing results with. So let me tell you a little bit more about Courtney. I'm pulling up her amazing because this is like so good. Okay, so Courtney has spent 19 years helping entrepreneurs and companies from brand new startup companies to $100 million businesses discover massive tax savings. She's the author of two books, the bestsellers, and runs a full-time service accounting firm that serves clients in all 50 states. But you know what? This is one of the best parts that I personally love the most is about her philosophy. And we can get behind that all day long. She believes that smart tax strategies should be free up more of your money so that you can help more people, live more fully, grow your business, and give more generously. And let's be honest, a lot of us would love to be able to follow that model, right? That you give, you save, and you live. And so without further ado, I want to introduce you to Courtney Epps. She is on our call tonight. Courtney, we're going to figure out how to unmute you. Let's figure this out. We're getting all techie over here. There you are.
Perfect. All right, and then I need to share my screen, I think,
All right.
because you guys do not want me to teach tax strategy without the screen share. Yeah, so and this has been a crazy. Yesterday was corporate deadline, so if you did not file your corporate tax return, did not file an extension, you need to make sure you get a tax return filed ASAP, even a zero return, so you don't get hit with more penalties. So, fun times. All right, so let me share my screen, and I cut it down a little bit so that I can make sure that we're about at 20 to 25 minutes. I saw your, let's see from the beginning. I saw your message. My son called
Perfect.
me. Okay, perfect. All right, guys. So I'm gonna go like a fire hose, like which is always the way that I do this. There's a lot of content that I'm gonna share with you tonight. I'll share with you. Obviously, Jenna has already shared her story. I did not. Who was that? Who was your friend, Jenna?
So it's her name's Faith Miller, and her
Okay.
daughter lived down the street from you in North Carolina.
Funny. Okay.
This must have been like 7 years ago.
It had to
So,
be.
yeah.
Yeah. And I have honestly, it's been 25 years now. So that's kind of crazy. When you said 19, it's the longest time that I've been doing this full time for 8.5 years. I hated taxes. So for anybody, that kind of relates, I don't like paperwork. I don't like taxes. I try to do everything but accounting, which is why I'm a good accountant. So, I'm first an entrepreneur and I've done taxes for 25 years for people, but I would only do them January through April. And so when I started teaching tax strategy, that's when I really fell in love with the idea of doing taxes. So I have 22 employees now. We have 7,500 square feet here in Greenville, South Carolina. This is my family. Miss Amelia turns one next week. So it's kind of crazy how quickly things work. My kids, I have four kids that work for me. They're 23, 22, a 20-year-old, and an 18-year-old work for us full time. And Miss Amelia is the AI. We actually just built an AI twin out of her so we can use her brand image and likeness to launch ads and marketing and all the things. So I definitely make sure that I'm paying her the $16,100 every single year. So, like Jen said, I'm an author, speaker. We do about 3,000 tax returns every single year here, and I'm something called an enrolled agent. So, most people don't know what an enrolled agent is. It's the only credential that you can get with the IRS. So, a CPA is a state board. They're focused on financials and auditing for publicly traded companies. Typically, an EA is actually a tax, is focused on taxes. So, I have all the hours to be a CPA. I just refuse to ever work for one, so I can't be one. You have to work for one for a year. So I was like, that's never going to happen. So, what I'm going to share with you tonight, a couple things. One, tax our number one expense. You will spend more money in taxes in your lifetime than you will on food, clothing, housing, and transportation combined. 54.4% of your lifestyle, everything that you make over your lifetime is going to go to taxes, unless you figure out a way to keep more of your hard-earned money. And what I learned about 10 years ago when I was in the home-based business industry is that I can help save the average household $4,000 to $8,000 a year just by having them attempt to earn an income in the network marketing or home-based business space. That's why I believe there's two tax systems in our country, that one is created to provide wealth, one is created to steal wealth from you, and why I truly tell people they would be brain dead not on a business. So it's just math for me, right? And then why 93% of business owners, even though they are in the right system, are actually overpaying in taxes, and how you can actually keep $10,000 or more back in your pocket. And I'm going to teach you all of these things tonight in a matter of 20 minutes. We're going to make it happen. So why we're different is that we focus on strategy, right? Most accountants are not focusing on that at all. And it's not necessarily because they don't want to. It's that a lot of times they just don't have they don't have the knowledge. And so things are kind of crazy busy during tax season. That's typically the only time you talk to your accountant, when you should be talking to them throughout the year, at the end of the year, trying to make decisions and focus on strategy as opposed to just focusing on preparation. Couple different people that we saved some money for. This guy, we went back and amended 3 years worth of returns. He used that to pay his house off. She's in network marketing. We went back and reviewed and amended 8 years worth of tax returns for her, decreased her tax liability by $155,000. And yes, you can go back and amend returns if you owe money. And that's exactly the situation with her. And one of my largest clients, he is in the network marketing space. I was able to save him $1.8 million the first year that he became our client. So he's been with us for about 8 years now. Now, my aha moment, had I probably learned this in the network marketing space when I was actually doing network marketing, I don't know that I ever would have quit, but I used to get very frustrated with why people did not decide to join my company or my product or my service. And the reason why is because 46% of Americans don't have an extra $400 to their name, and 69% of Americans don't have an extra $1,000 to their name. So when you offer them an opportunity and they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, or there's a guarantee for them to get their money back. And for me, the guarantee is always tax savings, right? You may not necessarily make money because you're not attempting to be a business owner, but you will, the guarantee is you're going to save tons of money in taxes. And so when you help people understand that, it allows them to free up the money. Just like I said a little bit ago, the average American is going to spend more money in taxes in their lifetime than they will on food, clothing, housing, and transportation combined. It's our number one expense. The average American household is going in debt $7,000 to $12,000 a year, and I'll break that down for you in a second. The national debt is up to $94,000 per citizen. Credit card debt is through the roof. Student loan debt is crazy. And so what we were taught to go to school, get good grades, and go get a good job is not currently working, guys. Like that's why I'm throwing these numbers at you. I want you to understand we were taught to do something that totally contradicts wealth. And what the top 1% are doing is not what we're taught to do in school. So that's what I've spent the last 8 years of my life. I've spent over $500,000 just in continuing education and learning What are the wealthy doing that we are not doing? And that has been truly amazing for us. We have a $5 million a year accounting practice now. We have two other companies, advisory firm. We have an education platform that we built. And just in the last year, I have been able to take the things that I've learned and generate an extra $800,000 a year passively. So everything I'm teaching
Did she freeze or is it just
to
me?
do anything extra. Like it was a crazy time, but I worked really, really hard and built the system that we currently have today and super proud. To teach you guys. That's what I love about this is that I'm able to teach you all the things that I've learned. So the average household in America is making about $67,000 a year. They're paying on average of $14,000 a year in taxes. The problem with that is that the take home now is only 53,000 and the cost of living in America is 65. So that means that the average household is going in debt $12,000 a year to work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year to take 2 weeks paid vacation. So again, the system is not working. So we've got to do something different. And decreasing taxes is the fastest way to wealth. Again, it's 54%. 54.4% is going to taxes. Now, granted, can we get rid of sales tax? No. Can we get rid of property taxes? No. Can we get rid of other excise taxes? No, but we can decrease income taxes very easily. And the first step is to know the two different tax systems that were created in this country. There's a tax system that was created to steal wealth away from you. There's a tax system that was created to provide wealth for you. And I'm not knocking W-2 employees. I have 22 employees that work for me. I love them. I'm super thankful for them. But you have to understand that the tax system was created for business owners, and those business owners then go out and generate money into the economy. They spend money into the economy, and then the goal is, the hope is that Congress believes that they will hire employees, and then the employees will pay the lion's share of taxes. So I'm not knocking you for being a W-2 employee. I'm just saying you have to have some sort of home-based business on the side that you allow and you attempt to earn an income off of so that you can force things to be tax deductible, just like Amazon, just like me. So you don't have to do it full time. You just need to be attempting to earn an income. So starting a business is to me one of the greatest things that you can ever do because you will always pay less in taxes as a business owner than you will on W-2 as a W-2 employee. And that is a fact, right? It's just math. Now, I'll explain it this way so you can actually see it because I think this is pretty amazing. Now, granted, the standard deduction has gone up just a little bit this past year. I've not changed this slide, but if you take a W-2 employee who's making 100 grand a year, this is their taxes, their FICA, their federal, their state, and their take home is 71,000. So they're paying in about $28,000 just in taxes. And then if we take a business owner making the same $100,000, they get several things. They get business deductions. So things that you're currently spending money on today become business tax deductible when you are a business owner. On top of that, you have something called a QBI deduction. It says it's a tax law that says you do not have to pay taxes on 20% of your net income from a business. So if we take a $100,000 income, let's say we have $25,000 in deductions, things we're already spending money on, and I'll walk you through some of those in a few minutes. And then from there, we have the QBI deduction. Now we're at 60 on top of that. So guys, you're literally paying tax on $44,000 as opposed to $100,000 if you're a W-2 employee. And you're keeping $14,451. Like it's just math, right? I mean, so this is why I say you have to be brain dead not to own a business because even as a W-2 employee, you have business expenses and those business expenses can offset any of your other income. So the reason why business owners get massive tax deductions, I explained this a little bit, but Congress knows that 70% of all jobs in our country are created by small to medium-sized businesses. And the reason why it's important to focus on tax strategy is because 40% of every dollar we make is going to pay income taxes, right? Not including all the other taxes. And for me, I didn't learn this stuff in college at all. actually, they teach you in college, just so you know, they teach you that home-based business is not legitimate and that anyone who comes to you that has some sort of network marketing company, you should not do their taxes because they're highly likely to be audited. It's not a legitimate business. It's not a legitimate program, and you should stay far, far away from it. That is a lie. So for 25 years, that's all I've focused on is home-based businesses and other brick and mortar businesses. And we do over 3,000 tax returns a year. And I would say at least 2,700 of those have some sort of home-based business on it. I've had less than 20 clients audited over the last 25 years, and we have won 75% of those audits. So definitely not true. And what I learned by being in the home based business industry was that I was actually doing tax returns for people the year before who were just W-2 employees, and I added a home based business. Not added extra expenses, but literally added the home based business and proved to them that I could save them on average of $48,000 a year just by attempting to earn an income in their network marketing business. And that's when I had my aha moment. Going back to the average household going in debt, I put those two together and said, man, if I could just share this information with people, then I could get in front of network marketers and teach them why it's the smartest thing that you ever did to join your home based business. Now you just need to attempt to earn income and share this with masses. So, the reason why 93% of business owners are overpaying in taxes, the biggest one is lack of knowledge. You just don't know. So, you're overpaying in taxes. I think my favorite verse from scripture is, my people perish for lack of knowledge. And so that's exactly where we are today. People just don't know. They're scared of getting audited, which is most of the time not. You have a 0.03% chance of getting audited. So, people are not taking advantage of tax deductions. Their accountant is not allowing them certain expenses and they're giving them bad advice. And then the last thing is that accountants are not providing tax strategy. They're only doing tax preparation, guys. And so those are the reasons why 93% of business owners are still overpaying in taxes. I made 4.5 million last year. Okay. We'll do about 7 this year. My net last year was 1.4 million. I paid $0 in taxes. Now, granted, that comes with a lot of strategy. So you have to understand, like, I spend my life, like when I make money, the goal is to keep that money in this hand and move it over here to this hand and still get a tax deduction. And so there are ways to do that, like real estate syndications and car wash syndications. There's a whole bunch of things that I could teach you tonight that I don't have time to teach you. But it is legal, moral, and ethical for you never to pay taxes. You just have to structure it properly. And it needs to almost, like for me, it's a full-time job sometimes. So understand that we have got to focus on the strategy, because if you're not focused on it, nobody else is either. So 3 easy ways for you to keep more of your money this year is make sure you're tracking your expenses and writing off these expenses. Make sure you're structured properly. We'll talk about both of these things. And that when you are structured properly, when you're an S corp, and we'll talk about income levels and all that stuff. But when you're an S corp, then you want to make sure you're paying yourself the least amount in a paycheck. It's a requirement. It's something that has to be done. But you do not have to pay yourself a lot of money in order to solidify being that structure. So, what is a tax deduction? This is what the IRS says, is that any expenses incurred for the purpose of gaining or producing income is incurred with a reasonable expectation resulting in future business and is considered reasonable under circumstances. So what does that mean? That means if you're attempting to earn income today or in the future and it's reasonable, it's tax deductible. So is it reasonable for me to be a platinum partner and pay $85,000 for Tony Robbins to go to continuing education events and advertising and build networks? Yes. Is it reasonable for you to go to your continuing education events or a mastermind or a retreat? Yes, if you're building a business. Is it reasonable for you to travel all over the country and talk to people about your business? Yes. Okay. That is considered reasonable and ordinary in your business. So that's one of the really big things I love about the home-based business industry, because it allows you to redirect your living expenses and turn those into business expenses, as long as you're doing something called daily business building activities. And so what daily business building activities are, per the IRS is that you're putting in 3 to 5 days a week, 45 minutes a day, attempting to earn income. And so you may say, well, what is attempting to earn income? Open your mouth and tell people what you're doing, because the government allows you to use your losses against any other income and you can carry that forward. So, meaning that if I share with people what I'm doing, whether I text them, whether I Facebook message them, whether I'm going to go see them and talking to them about my business, I now, because I am attempting to earn income, can take any losses that I have from that business and I can offset that against any other income. So that's a pretty big thing. And we want to talk about a couple different deductions. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, but there are over 475 legitimate tax deductions that you can take advantage of for your business. Small and large businesses, it does not matter. And the big thing is that you can convert your living expenses like meals, mileage, cell phone, internet, business use of home, things that you're already spending money on, and convert those into business expenses. So, meaning you don't have to spend more money necessarily to save more money in taxes. You just now have to be a business owner. Okay. So, you don't have to quit your day job. You just have to be a business owner. So, I'm going to run through a couple of these really quickly. Just for lack of time, I want to make sure as a W 2 employee, you have things called living expenses and itemized deductions. 96% of Americans get zero benefit from itemized deductions. And the reason why is because the caps are too high. And then you have certain, now property taxes just came back recently. It went from 10,000, now it's 40,000 that you can write off. Medical bills and medical insurance, though, have to go above 7.5% of your adjusted gross income in order to get any benefit. So it just a lot of issues there. So most people are going to take the itemized deductions, which is 32,000. And you may say, well, I've got daycare credit. Sure, okay, you may get up to $2,500 for daycare credit, but nothing else, right? As a W-2 employee. But when you start a business, now you can actually write off your medical bills and medical insurance and medical sharing and long-term care. All of these, I literally hire my spouse. I pay my spouse $100 a month to work for me. And then through a management company that I have called Home Based Business Gurus, that I started, 10 years ago, I pay my kids through that as well. And because I pay him, I also include his employee benefit of medical bills, medical insurance, medical sharing, all the bills. So that becomes 100% tax deductible as a business expense. So I get it back. Then property taxes. So if I'm using my RV or I'm using a travel trailer, we have 2 travel trailers. We have, our car. If you're using your vehicle for tax purposes or for business purposes, you can write off a portion of your property taxes. Then you have your business use of home. Not only do you have business use of home, you also have the Augusta rule. But business use of home says if you're using your house for business purposes, you can write off a percentage based on your business use percentage of your insurance, your property taxes, your mortgage interest, your HOA fees. You can actually depreciate the house. So all of that gets added up. And what I'm sharing with you is not minimums or maximums. They're just averages that I see. And then things like charitable contributions, you can force that to be 100% tax deductible if you give from a gross income level. One of the things that I really love is giving back, and I provide for every serving or every dollar that comes in my accounting practice, I provide a serving of advanced immune support to medically fragile children. So I fund the entire medically fragile program in the United States for kids with all types of sickness and disease and reverse that. And so because I give the way that I do and because it's from a gross income level, it becomes 100% tax deductible. Really love it. Now, I pick up the phone. Let's say I call Jenna and I say, hey, Jenna, I've got something I want to share with you. Let's sit down and have dinner. I get in my car. I drive to her. I'm going to write off actual expenses, but a lot of people don't use their vehicle more than 50% for business. So you can write off mileage at 70 cents a mile. Then I'm going to I'm going to sit down and have a meal with her. And I'm going to tell her what I'm doing. I'm going to tell her, hey, I found something amazing, product or service. I'm buying a product or service at wholesale versus retail. I'm now making some extra money. I'm saving money in taxes. And my goal is to help other people do exactly the same thing. It's one of the greatest business models that exist. So I now get to write off my bills. I now get to write off my cell phone because I needed it to run my business. I get to write off my internet because I needed that to run my business. Then on top of that, I can travel. Guys, I've kind of built my accounting practice away around like the network marketing industry. So I have clients in all 50 states. So I have clients that live on every single island in Hawaii. So I'm going to Hawaii at the end of the summer, and that's 100% tax deductible for me because I'm going to make sure I schedule appointments with my clients to meet them while I'm in Hawaii. So you guys get to do the exact same thing if you will force your travel to be intermingled with your personal life. So I love that idea. And then you can hire your kids. You can actually pay them up to $16,000 this year. We've got a little bit of detail on that. And then you have office supplies, legal and professional fees. So paying people like me to prepare taxes, set up LLCs, S corporations, all the things. And then things like cell phones, your laptops, all the things can be tax deduction. And so handful of other things that may not be that you may not currently already have, right? So these are all things that you're already spending money on, but you may have some advertising, you may have some continued education. And guys, for me, continued education has completely changed my life. I went to a $50 Tony Robbins event on June 30th of 2017. I was making zero income. I was in a really bad place in my life and completely shut down. And the next day, I got $7,500 a month in accounting clients from there. And so it's been extremely life changing, and continuing education is something that I spend a lot of money on every single year because I don't know what I don't know, and I look forward to paying people that are smarter than me in certain areas. So really amazing continuing education. Dues and subscriptions would be like your monthly dues to be in your company. It could be a Zoom, anything that comes with a subscription. And then you have cost of goods sold. So cost of goods sold could be samples that you're using. It could be products that you're selling. And people ask me all the time, can I write off the things that I'm currently paying for and using? I would say it depends. If you are attempting to earn income, then yes, I would write it off because you need that story and you need to take those products in order to share that story. But if you're just getting started in a home-based business and you're not sharing that with anyone, then no, do not write it off because you're not attempting to earn income. And what I just shared with you totals up to $49,000. Guys, I didn't put in tax brackets here, but if you take the majority of you would be in a 24% tax bracket, and that's not including state. If I took $49,000 and I multiplied that by 24, that is $11,760 in tax savings, not to mention making extra money. And so I have husbands sometimes that tell me, like, my wife's costing me money. I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard that before, or maybe my husband's costing me money in this company. And I'm like, no, they're actually saving money because they were going to buy these products anyway because they were amazing products. Now they just get to share it with people and they get to write it off and along with the other things. So pretty amazing. Now, a couple things just extra deductions I want to talk about. Shifting income by hiring your kids, because I think this is super important. You can pay them now up to $16,100 a year. They don't have to pay taxes on it at all if they're under the age of 18. There's no FICA, no federal, no state. You pay them, and then they pay for their things. Kids are super expensive. It'll save about $5,000 a year per child, and not to mention a couple different extra employee benefits that I really love, including continuing education, travel, auto reimbursement. You can do college education, and you can also write off a swimming pool, an exercise facility, a golf course, and a tennis court. Guys, this is tax code. This is straight tax code. Those four things are in the tax code. It says if you hire an employee and you allow them to utilize any of these four facilities on your property, then you can actually write those things off. This is another reason why you need a home-based business. And then travel expenses, the only thing I'll leave here with that is just you have to put in 4 hours and 1 second on a work day during the work week. So essentially, if you want to go to Puerto Rico, on a Thursday, that could be a travel day. Friday is 4 hours and 1 second building your business, attempting to earn an income, whatever that looks like for you. Saturday, Sunday can be sandwiched in. Monday, let's say you had an event that you wanted to go to for 4 hours and 1 second. Tuesday, you fly back home. 100% tax deductible. So again, I am very peculiar and I'm always going to combine a board of advisors meeting, which is what I do with my kids. I'm going to take them with me, take them along with me. Like we went to Puerto Rico this year. We also went to Punta Cana. And so we're able to write all of that off as well. And then the last deduction that I want to talk about, because you guys are probably utilizing your house to invite people over for presentations, for meetings. It could be for masterminds, retreats. Is something called the Augusta loophole, and this was created at the Augusta Masters. I'm actually going to the Masters, a mastermind at the Masters in 2 weeks, and I'll be talking about this Augusta rule. But it was created there because people would essentially, during the Masters, move out of their house and have people move in. Now, you don't have to do that, but what they were doing is they were getting massive amounts of rent on that and they didn't want to pay tax on it. So, some rich people went to Congress and said, hey, we don't want to pay tax on this. So, we get the luxury and be able to use that. It says that you don't have to pay taxes up to 14 days if you rent your house out. And you could, as a business owner, rent your house out for a retreat, a mastermind, and you could do it for a going rate in your area. So I charge out $15,000 a day for my house, and you can, depending on your area and how much of a square footage of your house and how nice your house is, you can do a huge amount as well. So we typically will start with 500 bucks a day, and that can obviously go up based on the area that you're in. And the last thing I want to share is how to keep more money when you start making it, right? So we talked about deductions. We talked about freeing up money in taxes. So that's amazing. But when you start making money, and essentially once you get to a point where you're doing about $12,000 a year in gross income, you're going to want to have something called an LLC. And I want to break it down for you this way. If you're making about 60 grand a year, you're going to pay self-employment taxes of 15.3% if you have an LLC or a sole proprietorship or a partnership. So the LLC does not stop you from paying in taxes. It starts the process and starts the clock ticking. So an LLC allows you to treat your business as an S corp for tax purposes. Now, LLCs are great. They limit your liability, but when you're network marketing, most people don't know to get those because they're not necessarily worried about the liability because the network marketing company, that's on them for the most part. But if you get the LLC, once you're doing about $12,000 a year gross income, that's typically what I tell people, then, because if you can get to $1,000 a month, you can get to 2,000, you can get to 5,000, you can get to 10,000, and some people do it really, really quickly. So this shows you what you would pay if you made 60 grand and just had an LLC or a sole proprietorship or a partnership. But if you treat the LLC as an S corp election for tax purposes, it's just paperwork that we do, and we tell the IRS, "Hey, we're going to treat this LLC as an S corp, and then we're going to process payroll." So people get really lost in this whole understanding. We're not paying more in payroll taxes. We're shifting from self-employment taxes of 100% to 20% of payroll taxes. One and the same thing, just paying less in taxes. So that 60 grand, we pay ourselves a paycheck of 20%, which is 12,000 bucks. That 12,000 bucks then is 15.3% in self-employment taxes. So now you're paying $1,800 in self-employment taxes as opposed to $9,000 in self-employment taxes. That is a $7,000 swing. So most people believe that business owners or W-2 employees believe business owners pay more money in taxes because they don't understand you can actually bypass these self-employment taxes. They think you have to pay them all, and that's just not true. And then the last thing is something called a QBI deduction. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but it just clearly says if you are a business owner, you don't have to pay tax on 20% of your net income. It's just a thing. Trump came out with it in 2018. He extended it in 2025 with a big, beautiful bill. I love it. It's so if I take the same 60,000, 20% of that I don't have to pay tax on. That's 12 grand. Let's say you're in 25% federal and state tax bracket. That's about $3,000. Guys, these two slides, I just showed you how to save $10,000 in taxes. Okay. Not to mention the $11,000 we just went over on things you're already currently spending money on. So you don't leave money on the table. You can always go back and amend. You can go back 3 years from the date of filing, and you can go back 2 years from the date of paying. So if you owe money, I would suggest you probably schedule a tax strategy session with us and see if we can try to get some of that reduced, including the penalties and interest to go along with it, kind of like we did for Jackie. And as you start making more money, there's always more things that you can do, especially if you're in a 32% or a higher tax bracket. There are things available to people who make over $300,000 a year or more that are investments and tax savings. So that would be your goal. When get to as fast as you possibly can to make $300,000 a year married filing jointly, or have $1 million worth of assets without your house, because then that way you can start investing in things that are also huge, massive tax deductions. And okay, as a business owner, you are going to truly buy the things that you want most of the time, right? Your wants and your needs, and then they're redirected, right? These are business expenses that are redirected from living expenses. And then as a W-2 employee, you're going to make your money, you're going to pay taxes, and then hope to buy all of your wants and some of your, or all of your needs and some of your wants. It is the true wealth system, guys. That's in summary. Decrease in taxes obviously is the fastest way to wealth. Definitely not too late to try to save some money in 2025 for 2025 tax season, plus obviously 2026. And then this is my book. I would suggest you probably read it. If you have not, it's very good. It's very easy to understand. And you can obviously book a tax strategy session with us. So this is hopefully, I don't know if I have time to answer questions, Jenna, or if that's something you want me to do. I'm happy to do that. And I tried as fast as I could.
You killed it. I'm so proud of
Ran.
you. She
Thank you.
nailed it, didn't she? Let's do this. Let's do this like we do on After Party. If you've been on an after party with us, you know how we run them. If you have a question for Courtney, I'll filter it through the comments so that we can blast through them really fast. Cassie, will you help? So if you have a comment or a question, like throw it in the chat. I know Shauna had one about personal use on our products. So what is the parameters on that and how does that work? If can we claim those as deductions?
If you are attempting to earn income, I would say that that would be an argument that we could win. So, and guys, like some of this stuff would be speculative. If you ever got audited, you would have to argue with the auditor and say, this is why it's a tax deduction, right? I'm using this to share a story, but I've never had it disallowed.
Yeah, with the 100 PV, you need 100 personal volume every month in order to be paid. That's part of your commission. So that's your 100 PV is just a
Okay.
small corporate. How long are your strategy sessions, Courtney?
They're 30 minutes. Yep.
30
So
minutes.
if you're under 250, you're gonna get my assistant. Her name is Marissa. She's great. She's been with me for 5 years. And if you're over 250, you'll get me.
Amen. All right. You did such a good job that they're kind of quiet in the comments.
I
It's a
thought the
lot.
same thing. I was like, man. Now there was another one that just said about, where do we put our income for our children? Is it into a separate account? And I mean, that's what we do. So that's how we
So
shuffle
you
that. But
can, yeah. So I mean, obviously, in the beginning, I didn't have the extra money, right? So I would pay the kids, and then I would in turn use that money to pay for vacations, or pay for education, or pay for sports. Now, each of my kids have a Roth IRA. I put $7,500 a year into that, and then I have an infinite banking policy that I overfund for them to have that. And so that's where I'm putting their money right now. You can also do a CISA up to $2,000 a year. I'm really against 529s. I'm very much for self-directed everything. So anything that I can self-direct, I'm going to do that, whether it's Roths or HSAs or all the things.
All right, we got another one. If we were over 250,000 in the last years and not 2025, do we still schedule a strategy assistant with your assistant or can they schedule it with you?
So it's going to ask what your income level is. So if it's in that range, if I pull the tax return and last year's tax return says the 250, then you're typically going to be with me. And guys, honestly, she's actually better than I am. She goes into more detail than I do. She has more time than I do. She's more on time than I am. It's just, I mean, and she's literally right there. Like she is right behind me at all times. So I'm really just getting to a point where I'm trying to free up my time. We're launching this OTB Wealth, which is a higher level advisory service, because I think there's a major problem in the financial industry that you have like 10 different people and nobody speaks to each other. And so it's like you don't know where to go for financial advice. You don't know where to go for tax advice. And you've got estate planning, and you've got legacy building and all the things. And so I'm really focused on trying to build that out and help more people on a whole nother level.
She's going to elevate her business. Y'all watch, and you're going to be here
Yes.
going, I knew her when. All right. We got a question. Can they hire you to file their taxes or do they book a strategy session and then take your advice to their personal? So I will tell you,
Oh, yeah.
You're going to hire her. You're going to
Yes.
want to. So
Yeah.
you have the strategy session for you personally to figure out what it looks like. And then you guys start to have your own
Yeah,
relationship.
because accountants don't live. I mean, that is the one thing that we have had numerous conversations about. I'm actually working with one of Trump's tax advisors who wants to partner with me, and we have been talking over the last month. He actually has 4,000 accountants that he can't find a single one of them that are actually willing to do strategy. Like they just want to prepare tax returns because they're scared, right? Every continuing education class you go to, they scare you into believing you don't want to help your client. So you essentially work for the IRS. Like you abide by something called a Circular 230 rule when you become an accountant, and it says you cannot be overly aggressive with the tax return. And then while you're in college and when you're doing continuing education every year, they scare you into believing certain things are going to cause you to be audited. And so your client gets audited, you get audited, you lose your license. So they're just not willing to help you. And it's unfortunate because it's just not true, right? I've done it for too long. I do, 3,000 tax returns a year. And we've learned like all these things that I learned in college was just a complete lie.
All
So
right, we got a really great question. Do you really want them to mail all their papers to you in the mail?
you don't mail them. So
Not that.
everything is uploaded. Yeah. Everything is uploaded. Again, we have clients in all 50 states. So you actually have an organizer that we ask you questions just to make sure that we're tracking every single thing. And it's a smart organizer. So it recognizes when you say, hey, I've got a kid in college, then it'll ask you to make sure that you upload a 1098T so we can get education credit. So it's asking you all the things. We built that out this year to just make sure that we're tracking every single thing we possibly can. And we do a strategy session on the front end and the back end, right? So it's like we sandwich it in. I review every tax return, every single one, like all sitting right here, like before I go home tonight, because I'm leaving to go to Florida tomorrow, I have to review all 30 of these tax returns. But so you're getting that level of service. I'm just not necessarily always going to be the one on the call.
Amen. I
There was a
love
couple
it.
other, Jenna. I don't know if you saw them. One was asking about can they write off for their grandchildren, and then the other is will kids have to pay taxes once they turn 18?
So the first 16,100 is the standard deduction, right, for everybody. So it doesn't matter what your age is. If you're under the age of 18, you don't have to, and your parents or your grandparents hire you, there's no taxes like unemployment taxes, Social Security or Medicare that has to be paid on that. And then as far as the children, that as long as they don't make more than 16,100, they don't have to pay any taxes. And that's any person, right? I mean, last year's standard deduction is 16,100. If you're married, it's 32,200.
Right. Another one was, do we have to send our kids payments to a different bank account? Which I think we asked that. And then the kids can pay their own tuition from that bank account is kind of that
That
question.
is true. Yeah. So it doesn't matter what happens to the money when it goes into their
Right.
bank account, but you do have to transfer money and you do have to process payroll tax returns. So it's not something you can just say, I transfer the money and then tell us at the end of the year. We have to actually file payroll tax returns for you and we have to issue W-2s. Granted, they are, the hope is they're not going to pay tax on any of that. But I mean, four of my kids work for me. They're over the age of 18 now. One of them makes $100,000 a year. She prepares 2,700 tax returns a year. So, you can pay them as long as you want to. You can pay them more than the 16,100. It's just you don't have to pay tax on any of the money you pay them. Now my kids own 30% of my company, so I've shifted income off of me and onto them as they've gotten older. So, and that also allows me not to have to force them to pay self-employment taxes on the money that they're making from the company as well. So they're getting massive distributions.
One last one. I don't know if you saw this one really fast, but what about hiring my parents and can I do that as a write-off?
You can, but you would if they're over the age of 18. So there's going to be self-employment taxes. So if you're, I mean, tax bracket wise, if you're at you're only paying the 15.3%, or excuse me. Well, let's say you paid your parents 50 grand. right? There's 7.5%, 7.63% that they're paying in FICA taxes, and you're paying the matching FICA taxes. So that combined is going to be the 15.3 is where the number comes from. So just keep that in mind. If you're in a 32% tax bracket and you're paying them and you're only paying that 7.65%, then yes, it would definitely be better. And even kids, as they get older, we can switch and pay them like $100 a month once they turn 18, and then we cover college education up to $5,250 a year, which is a tax deduction.
Awesome. Okay, Courtney, can you share your screen one more time for the QR code so that they can see
Yeah.
that? And then you guys, all these questions are great. And I know that a lot of one you're going to be like, oh, I wish I could have asked this and this, and whatnot. I will tell you, go ahead and book a strategy session with her or her assistant. That's $100. It's exactly what I did years ago with Courtney and why I'm still here today. I would highly recommend taking a picture. Get that screenshot, share this. We've got this recorded. So go back, listen to it, start writing down things where you can deduct or move things, but just make a strategy session. It'll be the best $100 that you can write off as well. And so
That's right.
remember that too. But I just want to honor our time in the moment too. So Courtney, you guys, this was phenomenal. I want to hear in the chat just how powerful this was for you, what your big takeaways were, and what stood out to you that you just mind blown that what Courtney brought to you. And remember, this is recorded. We will pop this on our YouTube channel, so you'll have that as well so that you can go back, share with your husband if he's not on this too, because trust me, mine is going to be listening as well because I'm like, oh, we might need to shift a few things. But just grateful for you, Courtney. Thank you for taking
Thank
your
you.
time tonight. It means the world. And, just the encouragement that you have tonight was an incredible conversation. But I just want to make sure that you guys know the framework. This is our anchored mastermind call. So every Tuesday, same time, same link, everything. So make sure that you're getting plugged in into the system that we have. But encourage other people, like pop on, keep your cameras on. These are weekly. They're powerful. We have a lot of call to actions that are coming. So like tomorrow, we have a bingo that's popping up. So make sure all your notifications are on the page so you don't miss calls like this with Courtney on and other people that you want to get plugged into. Because I know all of you in the chat, I wanted to just show how grateful. I mean, if you're not looking in the chat, look how grateful people are. And so thank you for coming, Courtney, because people are just so much
Yes.
gratitude here.
Thank
And
you.
I know I'm grateful. I've had Courtney for several years as well. And I love seeing everybody's names when I keep emailing back and forth, like, hey, is everything good? Do you have my stuff? And so thank you, thank you. Hopefully one of those on your desk is mine. I'm grateful for that. But tomorrow there's a bingo sheet. So that is coming. So be in the know for that. Watch for that. Then also we have work and worship Thursday. I keep thinking Wednesday because of the W, but Thursday is work and worship. Then we have our Bible study or our book study too. So don't forget that. We have Thursday also our messenger chat, so don't miss that too. And lots of other good things. Just you guys be in the know, get all the notifications. Don't miss this. We have a powerful community. You guys know it. Make sure to invite people to it. Great Christian community that you can just pour into others and be a light for others and be a blessing. Just like Courtney said in the beginning, we're here to be a blessing. We're here to bless other people. And that's what Jen and I and so many of you know and why we're here and why God created us to be here, to be a light into this world. And so I pray that you guys are doing that. And again, thank you so much for being in this space. I pray that you send this recording to a friend, and I cannot wait to see you again here soon in our community. All right.
Yeah. One more thing.
Oh,
One
yes, go,
more.
Jenna.
One more. I want to say thank you, Courtney, so much for giving us your
Thank you.
time and all your excitement and your energy and all your knowledge and wisdom as well. So much. Kenny's over there waving. He's like, yay, thank you. That's my
Yeah.
friend.
Jason just got home too. I was like, you should say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also want to shout out Marcia Tate. She is on our call
Oh, yes.
tonight. She's going to be our special guest speaker next week. She's bringing social media strategy. She actually personally helped me launch my podcast last year, Women Around the Well. We're going to celebrate our first anniversary, April 1st, and it would not have happened if she had not come alongside it and like whipped me into shape, taught me several things about social media strategy, marketing. This is going to be an amazing call for you as entrepreneurs, building your brand, understanding your niche and your specific market, and how you don't have to be a copy pasted version of somebody else. You are wonderfully, uniquely you, and you're enough. And so, Courtney, thank you again.
Thanks,
We
guys.
so appreciate you praying for your tax season, friend. Get
Thank
plenty of
you.
rest.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.